So Marvel's The Falcon and the Winter Soldier recently wrapped itself up. Its episode count was shorter than I expected, so I kind of thought I had more time until it ended, but it didn't, but that's okay anyway. I still binged it and finished it, all to bring you a review on it. So this is The Falcon and the Winter Soldier review. Going into this show, I didn't really have many thoughts. The show seemed to fly under the radar for the most part, with the exception of the occasional meme or two, but it didn't seem to build the same following that WandaVision had. And the show was centered around characters that I wasn't necessarily the biggest fan of. I mean, I sort of liked Bucky, but that had a lot to do with me being a huge Captain America fan and really liking the whole trilogy. Gotta rewatch those soon. And while Sam seems cool and all, but was never anything too special to me. Like, he just didn't have enough character development so far, and well, I didn't really have any connection to his character beforehand, so it was always just sort of there for me. So I understand the need for this show to sort of give these characters more depth since they're going to be big players in the MCU going forward. So that brings me over to when I first started this show. And going in, I was expecting some pretty decent superhero stuff, filled with fights, maybe some spy type of action, and the gritty-ish feel superhero movies always try to go for. And surprise, surprise, the show starts off with a 10-minute fight scene. And honestly, it was pretty cool. It was a good start to the show and caught my interest quite well. The fights in general are all pretty good, although some are definitely better than others, because some of the fights didn't seem to be choreographed all that well, plus the editing was, well, odd. Like, sometimes it would be super choppy and keep moving the camera around from place to place, and it would be hard to even know what I was looking at. This seems to show up a lot in superhero movies in general, so can't really pin this on this specific show, but it is really annoying. And this is probably a minor nitpick, but I kept thinking about it because it's really strange to me how Bucky and Sam were having trouble fighting some of the people that they did, since they have gone toe-to-toe with opponents that were leagues above them and even in some cases beat said opponents. So for them to start having trouble with people that are amateurs at best is odd. But the show isn't all fights, actually, it's mostly just characters kind of walking around and talking, with of course enough scenes of action worked around these characters' interactions, which is actually really nice to see, because I wasn't expecting a show like this to take it slow and focus in on its characters and their relationships. It was a good switch up. Like the quiet talking scenes between characters like Rhodey and Sam, or even the stuff about Bucky having to go to therapy, or struggling with the whole dating thing. I really like that stuff, and I think it was really interesting to see him deal with aspects of his past and how they haunt him as well. This idea has been brought up before, but it was really cool to explore to like more of an extent. And let me not forget the Bucky and Falcon interactions, because their conversations were always super funny and nice, and the chemistry these characters have and build throughout the show is super cool to watch. And it's a big reason why I think a lot of people will enjoy this show, because beyond the action and that whole superhero stuff, there were a lot of cute little moments that would make you smile, and to see these two characters build their friendship totally made this show worth watching. The show also delves into the implications of the blip, which is amazing. I love looking at the whole economic implications of the snap, such as how banks would react, or what would you do if you blip back into the house you used to live in, only to see another family in your place, or even what would happen at the job you used to work at, and in turn the countries would start welcoming people instead of sending them away like they do pre-snap, since there are so little people left. It's all really interesting, and I'm so glad they go over stuff like this because it makes the show feel so real. Now, this was all a segue into the ideologies of the villains for this show, the Flag Smashers. There are other things and people at work that can be considered villains or antagonists, but I'll leave that up to you when you watch the show. But I'll be honest, the Flag Smashers kind of suck. Like, don't get me wrong, I think their ideologies are really good. Like, a world without borders and preaching unity are all really good rallying points. But most of all, they are trying to bring the world back to how it was during the 5-year period of the after snap implications, such as the whole welcoming people into countries thing I said before. But the show never really showed me anything that would support the time skip being good. Sure, I heard you say these things about countries, but my feelings tied with Endgame and just the sadness that came with the blip all seem super bleak. So to make it out to be this great time without even showing me how great it was is kind of pushing it. Also, they, specifically Karli, constantly talks about how much they care for people, but then go around and kill innocent ones. Like, what? What? Same thing happens when some of her supporters and followers die. Like, I get it, but you're also killing people. You don't get to be sad and act above it all when you stooped lower than their level. Like, don't get me wrong, their message is good, but it is completely counteracted by her killing innocent people. I'm sorry. Also, they were just kind of boring in general. Like, they were alright, but a little lackluster in my opinion. Not sure how to transition over to this, but the show deals with racism in a really integrated way that goes along with the story. It doesn't feel super forced, which is nice to see. It's brought up subtly without the show flashing it in your face like they want a medal for even daring to bring it up. I won't say too much beyond that because I think it's better if you experience it for yourself. Now, I'm gonna move into spoiler territory since there are some things I want to talk about, so if you want to avoid spoilers, skip to the time on screen. 3, 2, 1. Okay, I'm guessing everyone who wants to be is gone by now. So first of all, there's a new Captain America? Look, I was and still am super conflicted on this character, because I neither like nor hate him. Do I ever want to see him again? No, but in this story, he was pretty cool. I will not lie, his character development was pretty good as well. He went from being an asshole that kind of seemed like he was trying his best, then kind of went off the deep end and killed someone, which really pissed me off personally because just like the shield, it stains the reputation of Captain America, and then finally turning good and coming to his senses at the end and dropping the shield and realizing who he truly wants to be and why he wanted to be Captain America in the first place. And I see a lot of people saying that he should have turned at the end and fought for the shield back or something, and while I say that wouldn't totally be out of the realm of possibility, I also think that what happened was fine, since I never really got the impression that this guy wanted to be Captain America more than he wanted to save people, and that he killed the person out of anger, grief, and revenge, and not because he was a killer. And I get the whole super serum turning someone into more of what they are themselves. However, at core, I feel like he just wanted to serve and help people, and Captain America was more of a symbol of that ideology. And when he realized he can do that without being attached to the persona of Captain America is when he drops his fake shield and decides to do what he always wanted to do: save people. But that is my opinion and interpretation of the character. A lot of people probably saw him in a lot of different ways, and I will be honest, a lot of them are pretty justifiable. This is just where I fell on that spectrum. Also, I think the government is at blame as well during all this. They went against the wishes of Sam, who retired the shield, and the wishes of the real Cap, who passed it along to him. Not to mention the stain they left in his legacy. Seriously, if you saw a guy murder someone in a Captain America suit, even if it wasn't the real one, I'm pretty sure you would never look at him the same way anyway. So I think it's really interesting that the show toys with these ideas and how Bucky and the Falcon react to them. It's cool. No, wait. No, it's more than cool. It's pretty awesome. Let's be real. Also, I saw all the memes and stuff before watching, but seriously, why does he look like that? He looks so bad. But anyway, moving on, I like Zemo. He was cool, and I like the way he plays off of the other characters, and especially acts as a way for Bucky to confront his past. And when he was talking about the whole idea of people becoming symbols and icons and being put on pedestals, was amazing. Zemo is spitting facts, all I'm gonna say. Also, the show leans into a lot of ideas the boys had or displayed. If you've seen the show, I'm sure you can almost feel it, because not only was this show a little more violent and brutal than usual, but the whole new Captain America and Homelander type ideas seem to overlap a bit. Just me? Maybe? But that ends my discussion on the spoilers, so we should have everybody back by now. Welcome back everyone. Now, this is mostly the Falcon show, but I'm okay with that, because he seriously needed the development, and Bucky kind of already got some development in the Winter Soldier and Civil War, so I'm fine with him kind of being pushed to the side. Although he wasn't pushed out completely, don't get me wrong, he definitely did get his moments, and a lot of them at that, but a good majority is spent on Sam. Also, I love all the callbacks and connections to the MCU, but at this point, it's just Marvel doing Marvel, so there's more of that. Overall, the show had a lot of good, but also some bad. One really bad scene in particular, but I won't say anything because I'm sure you will know when you get there. But honestly, this show was exactly what I was expecting, and even more in some places, especially in all those real feeling conversation scenes. So the Falcon and the Winter Soldier gets a 7 out of 10. It was good, and if you're a fan of Marvel, I'm sure you'll enjoy this to some extent. But hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you have any comments of your own, make sure to leave them down below. Trust me, I read them. Also, look at this graph. Okay, but as always, stay awesome, TooAwesome. Thanks for watching.